I'd like to acknowledge the Bunurong Boonwurrung people as the traditional owners of the land where this recording was made. Over the past few months, I've been walking through reserves around Melbourne, Naarm, and recording conversations along the way. I've met with traditional owners and First Nations peoples, conservationists, ecologists, and others who've chosen a place that matters to them. We walk and talk about nature, what lives there, what's changed, and what needs protecting. You'll hear our footsteps, the wind in the trees, the birds overhead, and the city not too far away. This is Finding Melbourne's Nature. We're in the southeast of Melbourne at the Edithvale Seaford Wetlands, and it's one of a few trips we're going to be making to this reserve. But today, it's all about ants, and we're lucky to be joined by the amazing ant expert, Kinjia Munkara Murray. She's going to be teaching us all about how these fascinating creatures help shape the ecosystems around us. Enjoy.
My name is Kinjia Munkara Murray, proud Tiwi and Rembarrnga woman and mad insect enthusiast. And I've brought you to the Edithvale Seaford Wetlands today.
So when did you start getting into insects?
My mum loves telling me this story. When I was like a young toddler, we're outside. Mum's probably doing the washing and I was just playing outside, and she turns around, she sees me just sitting on the ground watching this trail of ants walk up the wall on the side of the house. And I think it was at that moment that she sort of clocked, like, oh, I think this one's going to be into insects. And that's kind of how it feels. Like, I think I've just always loved insects. Like, I've always been, outside in the yard and like always looking on the ground looking for insects. And I used to keep like insects in terrariums at home, much to my mum's horror. Like, all things I'd be bringing home, like beetles or caterpillars, like, sometimes little lizards and stuff.
Yeah,
and I used to keep them at home and then just like feed them, find out what they like to eat. And in the case of like caterpillars, I'd raise them until they'd turn into butterflies and stuff.
wow, you actually watched that happen.
Yeah, yep. So, sort of always been into insects really, ever since I can remember. I have to tell you in advance too, when you're walking around with insect enthusiasts, there's constant stopping, just stopping to look at ants and all kinds of interesting things. So,
and you've got a little tool, I see.
I have.
Yeah.
I've got some tools of the trade.
Yeah.
Let me see.
A little microscope you use, is it?
Yeah. So it's like a little.
Wow.
So if I can grab one of these ants, we're gonna have a look at it up close.
Yeah. Do you know how many ant species there are in say Victoria or around Greater Melbourne?
I think, say for like Metro Melbourne region, I think from memory it's up to around like maybe 500, 600 that have actually been like described.
That many species of ants?
Oh yeah. Yep. No, we're up to like thousands of species just in Australia.
Really?
Yeah.
So the little ants you see, there might be massive differences that we just don't take notice of.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, what's cool as well is people who are doing genetic work on ants, and they're finding that there's a lot of species that look morphologically the same, but are actually genetically different.
Yep.
So it's like further complicating things. It's like, whoa, there's actually whole species complexes we didn't even know about. Like, we just thought they were all the same species. Yeah.
Because there's no visible difference on them, sort of.
Yeah. It starts to get a bit, it sort of blurs the lines a bit, doesn't it? Between what is a species and what isn't when you get into that genetic space. I think because I've traditionally been taught through like the traditional methods of identification through like the morphology, I sort of am more biased towards preferring that as a mode of identification. Like, if I can identify that looks different, then to me I feel like it's something different.
So did you
Yeah.
you grew up in Darwin
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
and Tiwi?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I grew up in Darwin and spent a bit of time growing up on Bathurst Island as well.
Yeah.
And I credit both of those places as being where I probably developed much of my love for insects, because it's an absolute tropical paradise. It's so highly diverse and, you know, abundant in various different insect groups. So that had a big part to play. That said though, I have spent part of my childhood growing up in parts of Western Vic.
Yep.
And there's real beautiful and amazing insects that you can find out there too.
Do you know if there's any, if there was any traditional owner connection stories to ants up north, or?
Yeah, so I don't know too much about like other mob stories, except for like I think it's pretty famous, the story in like central desert country around like the honey ant dreaming and that.
Yep.
But the only sort of stories that I know like from Tiwi Islands is like, so we don't have names for like every single ant species. The way we actually like categorize them is based on their like behaviour or the way that they sort of present themselves to us. So we have like distinct categories of ants. You know, there's ones that we call like cheeky ants.
Cheeky ants.
Cheeky ants. Because they're the ones that exhibit that more dominant, aggressive behaviour. And that's actually something that in sort of like Western literature around ant behaviour, it's also something that's been described through a different name. It's like what you would call, I think they just call it like the dominant species within that sort of community.
Yeah.
There's some ant species that will quite literally like bully other ants out of that area, or out of like resources, or out of the best times to forage. So yeah, there's some parallels there between the way that Tiwi sort of categorise different ant groups and some of the ways that myrmecologists also categorise ant groups. I mentioned not all the ant species are named in Tiwi language, but we do have a name for green weaver ants.
Yep.
Their scientific name is Ecophyllus maragdina.
Yep.
I can't remember that name right now, but the reason we have a name for that ant is because they have medicinal uses for us. Yeah.
I never knew any of this. This is just really interesting.
Yeah. This is cool. I like look at like they've obviously done re-veg work here.
Yeah, it's good re-veg.
See, yeah, like I like the different layers.
Yeah. Bank shears in the mid and
Yeah.
she oaks.
And this soil, because it's got that, it's just the remnants of those sand dunes. You know, that sort of sandy soil is really cool.
How many ants do you reckon you can ID around Melbourne?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm pretty familiar with like most of the subfamilies we have around Metro Melbourne.
Yeah, right.
And some of the genera would be pretty confident about IDing. I think around these wetlands, I estimate that I've probably seen about maybe 15, 20 different ant species.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I would not have known that before you said that just then. There are that many species. And you even know the times you're more likely to see ants, right? Like we're coming out at a particular time.
Different ants, like species or different groups, will occupy different foraging windows throughout a 24-hour window.
Yeah.
They've sort of evolved to occupy those different niches. But as a general sort of statement, you can expect to find ants out and about in those sort of like dusk and dawn periods.
Right.
But that said, you've got some ants that are just active all the time.
Yeah.
And then you've got ants that are more active at night, of course.
Yeah.
So it's like you get diurnal, nocturnal, you know, crepuscular and everything in between when it comes to ants. So yeah, but the reason I suggest we come out today at 4 o'clock is because a lot of my favourite ants are active at this time. I'm hoping we'll find some bull ants today.
Yeah, cool.
Because they're very charismatic.
So are there different species of bull ants as well? or are they all sort of just one bull ant?
There are many different species of bull ants, and Victoria has quite a high number of those different species.
Right.
I think, Victoria, South Australia, quite rich in bull ant species. And they're one of my personal favourites just because they're just super charismatic and they have incredible eyesight.
Yep.
And they actually forage and find their way using landmarks. So, when they come out of their nest, they know what trees or plants or rocks and stuff are nearby, and they use that to orient themselves, find their way back. And it's a much older method of navigation versus ants that use like pheromones and sort of chemical trails and things like that. That sort of ability evolved much later for ants. So bull ants are quite ancient in that respect. And bull ants, they forage solo as well, so they don't go out in big groups, and they don't really take down prey in groups. Like they'll just like kill an insect by itself and drag it back to the nest for the most part.
Did you do some studies on ants? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I did actually. So I actually did my master's on ants.
Yep.
And I remember when I was first designing my master's project,
Yep.
people were asking me like, oh, well, okay, we know you want to go and study insects on Bathurst Island, but what would you like to focus on in particular? And I was like, what? I want to study all the insects. Like, let's just do a full insect sort of survey on Bathurst Island. And they're like, you've got 2 years to do this master's, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, okay, I'll focus on ants then, because I actually had a really awesome, incredible set of supervisors for my master's studies. One of my supervisors was at the University of Melbourne, which I was studying at principally, but I also had a co-supervisor from Charlesdale Uni.
Yep.
And he is an incredible myrmecologist. He's been studying ants for a very, very long time, and is one of the principal experts on Australian ants. And so I was like, well, I gotta, take advantage of that knowledge that this man has, and the incredible experience he has and all that. So I ended up deciding to focus on ants for my master's. And so I did my research on ants of Bathurst Island.
Have you ever thought you might have found a new species?
Well, I did. I found 9 new species of ants during my master's work. And no, I didn't name them. People usually follow up with a question asking if I named these ants.
Yeah.
And like I was sort of alluding to before, like ants, like they've got various different communities in various layers of vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in the wetlands here, it's not as complex in terms of those vegetation layers, but back where we were in the trees and that, you're going to have different ants that live in the leaf litter, and those communities are going to be very different to ants that are living like underground, subterranean.
Right.
And those are going to be very different to the ants that are going to live on trees and in the leaves, in the canopies of the trees.
And what were you thinking about your preferences for naming? Well, think about it a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, naming. Look, I'm not like as interested in the desire to name everything.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of align more with like the Tiwi way of categorizing things based on like their behavioural functions, or just sort of, or even their sort of. I know people like to define groups of animals based on their feeding preferences and stuff like that.
Yep.
So I think that's more useful.
Yep.
In an ecological context. So like what I was saying before, cheeky ants, shy ants, and like painful ants. That's another group, like in Tiwi categorization. So like things like that is more interesting, I think.
What sort of relationships do ants have with rain?
So one thing that's really common with ants, many ant species, is they like to send out their new alates, or like their new queens, the reproducing caste, they like to send them out after it's rained. So often after you get them fresh spring rains, you'll see all of like the little winged queen ants flying around. There'll just be heaps of them. Sometimes there's thousands of them, hundreds and thousands, depending on where you are. There can just be like tons of them. And they'll release them after these spring rains, people think, because like the ground is soft and moist. And when them queen ants mate and they chew off their wings and they dig a little founding chamber in the soil, it's potentially likely that like that moist rain softens up the soil and makes it easier for them to actually build that founding chamber, and that moisture helps them to keep that first batch of eggs moist as well. So yeah, you'll often see all the ant queens and kings flying around after it rains.
Right, so that's how it works. They'll find their own little space, chew the wings off, go into like a cavity, is it? And then...
Yeah, they'll dig like a little hole in the ground.
Yeah.
Close it all up. Yeah.
And then other ants start bringing them food and stuff?
No, so depending on the type of ant, there's something called claustral, like claustral ants and non-claustral.
Yeah.
And claustral ants refers to when the ants are fully self-contained and they just live off their own energy reserves until their first generation of workers hatches.
Yep.
And then that generation of workers goes out and gets food for the queen. So that queen has to like fully live off whatever energy reserves she left her own like original nest from. Live off that until she can raise that generation of workers. But then you've got non-claustral ants, and they're the ones like bull ant species, where those queens will lay them eggs, but then they'll go out and look for food. Yeah, they'll go out and look for food to keep them energy reserves up while they're raising that first generation of workers. But once those first workers hatch, they'll start taking care of the queen and going out foraging for food.
Interesting.
And then you've got semi-claustral as well, so that's ants that might need a bit more food, but they're like kind of in between being fully independent and not independent.
That's incredible. I didn't know any of this. You have to cut off me saying that after everything you say, because it's such a common theme.
Yeah. Oh, look at the little wrens.
Yeah, beautiful blue wrens.
Also, so snakes love these wetlands, but much to my disappointment, I rarely ever see them. So I hope we see some.
That'd be nice. There's a black-shouldered kite just up there.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Just hovering over.
So that's the one downside to being an insect lover, is you're never looking up in the sky at birds. You're only looking at the ground all the time. So I miss all the birds and that.
Do you know how old ants are? Like, how long have they been in an evolution sense?
Oh, like millions of years old.
Yeah.
Like, at least. Like, yeah, they're quite ancient. They've been around since the time of, like, when we had that glorious period during, the Earth's history, and we had huge, mega-sized invertebrates that, like, because there was so much oxygen-rich air and so many resources, we had, like, mega spiders and mega millipedes and huge dragonflies and stuff. So we've had ants for a long, long time.
Would you imagine those big insects, are they, like, the size of wombats and things? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, even bigger. Like, some of them got huge. And if I had a time travel machine, I'd want to go back and see these massive invertebrates.
I think I'd be keen.
Yeah. I wonder if they'd try and eat a human, probably, if they're big enough.
A lot of people are scared of insects who don't know much about them. Do you have any thoughts on why you don't need to be scared, or...?
I think most insects are very much just trying to get away from you. So when they do behaviour, or like if they exhibit behaviour that you're not familiar with, like it's usually just a defense mechanism from them. Like, I know people get scared of like huntsmen and cockroaches that seem to like run directly towards them. And often they're just looking for like a tree to, you know, climb up and escape and get away from you. Or they're looking for a shadow to like get out of the sun, you know, and you happen to be the tallest object standing nearby.
Yeah.
So a lot of the times they're just trying to get away. It's very rare that insects are actually like physically trying to attack you, or, you know. But even then it's often because they're like defending something.
Yeah.
It's like with ants, a lot of ant species, you know, if you're messing around with their nest, they're gonna go crazy. They're gonna try and attack you, you know. Same with like wasps as well. Look at these cool guys. I know this ant because one of their common names is cocktail ants.
Yeah.
And Nonochroma is the genus name, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, they like living in trees, these ones. You always see them on tree trunks and stuff. Talking about diagnostic differences, where you find ants, that can be one big sort of indicator, because certain species will only live like in trees, you know, and then others will only live in the soil. So yeah, if you find certain things on trees, you can assume it's one of them groups.
So those ones that we saw before that were on the ground, this one being in a tree, the ones that were on the ground may never go up trees, sort of thing, you're saying?
Oh, look, sometimes like when they're foraging, they might be, you know, interested in sort of climbing up a tree trunk and having a look at what's up there.
Yeah.
But generally, like the ones that you can see here, these ants that have got a bit of a trail going up this tree trunk here, I think it's because they've probably got a nest up there somewhere and they're sending their foragers out down along this tree trunk. These guys probably maybe potentially do a bit of foraging. Oh, there's a bull ant! Whoa, look, there she is. Oh, isn't she beautiful? Look at her. I wonder if she'll let me grab her leg.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow, you picked it
bloody
up.
gorgeous. Look at her.
That's
Stunning.
so cool.
Yeah. So that's Myrmecia brevinota. So this bull ant species, they're one of the largest, and they're identifiable. Oh, yeah, she's dropped there. But you can tell it's a brevinota because they're huge and they're red. They got that red coloured body and that black gaster. But look how bloody cute they are. And see, real intelligent because they got that good eyesight.
Yeah.
Like when she's looking, you know, she's looking at what I'm doing when I'm putting my finger near her. What's
the setup with eyes on these ants?
The setup?
Yeah, like are they just two eyes or multiple eyes?
They've got like, some of them have got like a weird mini like non-functioning third eye in the middle of their head.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about the function of that third eye. I think it's like very vestigial in most cases. But yeah, not 100% on that. But yeah, for them the main setup is just two eyes, those two main eyes. And some ant species, like ones that are purely subterranean that never ever come up to the surface, their eyes are reduced, minuscule, because they've like, you know, losing that adaptation for sight. But then yeah, others like this bull ant, they've got some of the best vision out of any ant species.
Really?
Because they're so vision focused.
They are good looking, aren't they?
Yeah. Look, so standing here now, there's 3 different species of ants. That there is a different species to this one on the trunk. That's on that lower branch, and we just saw the bull ant. So that's 3 species in a 1 metre, 1 by 1 metre square. I think that's the same one, that Nonochroma.
Yeah.
That we picked up before. And there's another genus of ants I'm hoping we'll see, and they're called Chromatogaster, and they have cool heart-shaped gasters, and they're really cool. So I'll see if we can spot some at some point.
So is this a healthy site for ants, would you say, here at Seaford?
Oh, we've got our 4th
species.
Ant species. I'll answer your question in a second.
Yeah. They're different again. These
are different again. These are commonly known as carpenter ants.
Carpenter ants.
I think sometimes people call them sugar ants.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking in my head, yeah.
Yeah, so that's genus Camponotus. And they're very common. Some species are more nocturnal. You only see them at night. Some of them also prefer to live on trees or forage on trees. But often you'll see many of these species all throughout the day.
Do you know what's going on inside that hole where they're all coming in and out?
Well, I think because it's now spring, as that weather is warming up, like they're feeling those changes in humidity and temperature, they're going to start getting real active because they slow down a lot through the cooler periods of the year. But now's the time to start getting ready, start laying more eggs, start raising more larvae, getting more food to feed them. And if the colony's mature enough, now's the time to start thinking about sending out those queens and kings to go out and start their own colonies. So this is a very active time of year for a lot of ant species.
When you say queens and kings, what's the difference? The king ants, they don't have wings, or they?
So both the kings and queens have wings. They'll, like when they're all flying out and around, they'll find each other while they're flying or while they're on the ground, and they'll mate, and then the king will die. He will have fulfilled his one role. And then the queen is the one that's actually going to go on to found that colony and live for a very long time. And some ant species can live for many, many years. There's bull ant species that can live up to 20 years, 20 to 25 years.
Serious?
Yeah. That's one ant, one organism living that long.
So
amazing.
That bull ant species we saw before, do they live a long life, do you know?
Yeah, yep. Those ones could be living that long.
Really?
Yep. But then other ants, smaller ones, they might only live maybe 5, 10, 15 years. So it really just depends on the group.
Even those tiny ones can live a decade or more, can they?
Oh, I'm not too sure about the ones the Anonochroma and the Iridimyrmex. I'm not so sure about them, but I have heard it just depends on like how active they are, and I think the size of them as well. Yeah, but they definitely have that potential to be long-lived.
Interesting.
Yeah.
God, it gives me a lot of heart. You don't want to stand on something that's 20 years old, sort of thing. Like.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, isn't it wild to think that? Yeah, there's like ants, like individual ants that are like been around potentially since 2000. Like know, like or longer.
Check out the red-browed finches on the trail here.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
So what are they generally eating? What's a bull ant eat?
So bull ants are omnivorous, but more specifically, they eat different things depending on their life stage and what type of caste they are, like whether they're a worker or the queen. So the queen will eat protein, often from like insects, especially when she's making enough resources to lay eggs, because they need protein to lay eggs. And then the larvae, when they hatch, also eat protein. The workers will only really eat carbohydrates, so they'll like, sugar, honey, that kind of like sweet stuff, like the excrement from like the aphids and that produce sweet tasting
manna
sort of
and stuff like that.
All that sort of stuff. So that's what the workers will eat, and that's what the queen will also eat. But there's other ant species who are more like just herbivorous, or only eat plants, and you've got some that will only eat seeds. So they'll harvest seeds and they'll keep them in storage in their little food chambers and just munch on seeds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are there relationships where if you take out a plant, there's no that food is favoured by an ant and you lose the ant species, or do we know that sort of stuff?
Yes, I think we do know that there are some species of ants who are highly selective in the choice of, say, like seed that they'll eat, or other sort of stuff like that. So I think that can happen, that if you eliminate certain plant species in an ant's habitat, that could diminish that population for sure. Well, ants are some of the most sort of abundant when it comes to our insect groups. Like the total mass, or the total biomass of ants in Australia would probably rival that of any other insect group by many magnitudes. Like there's just that many ants, and they've just absolutely dominated in the Australian landscape and have like thrived and flourished so well that there's just tons of them. Like when you look at any 1 square metre of habitat, like anywhere where they live, there's just heaps and heaps of them. So they're a very successful group.
When you're travelling around Melbourne even, do you find yourself dropping into spots to see what the insect life is like there, or? Yeah,
absolutely. I think wherever I go, like I can't help but always automatically be looking for insects, looking for ants. Gets me into trouble sometimes if I'm meant to be like paying attention and then I'm too busy looking off at some ant or some cool insect. But yeah, like because insects are everywhere, and they're, you can probably hang a right and go up that hill if you like. Like number of insects that have still managed to thrive despite like urbanisation is like quite high. Like ants have done very well for themselves, as you can see from the number of invasive ant species that are found in urban areas. Like they've managed to leave their own countries and end up in places like Australia because they just do so well living in our houses, But one species that is really common, like I had to deal with these guys in one of the places that I lived in, Argentinian ants. They're, very, very hard to eradicate because they actually have multiple queens. So they have like mega colonies. So if you think you killed one queen, bam, it's like whack-a-mole, there's another queen. So they're very, very hard to kill, but it's a very effective, what do you call it? It's a very effective system that they have, because that's how they've thrived, is by having multiple queens. That sort of adds like that extra security for them,
So the ants you're seeing around your house might not be native ants, or probably more likely aren't native ants.
Yeah, potentially, yeah. Like when you're just looking around your house in the suburbs, some of them are probably invasive species. But again, there's also a lot of native species that do well in urban areas as well.
Yep.
So yeah, it just depends. There are some invasive species that are like of higher priority and higher concern than others.
All these, as part of this project, I've been visiting all these patches around Melbourne and speaking to people who look at it from all different angles. How important are the patches of bush that are left around Melbourne, wetlands, bush, whatever, for the diversity of insects that we have?
The importance of our remaining green spaces cannot be understated, especially when it comes to insects and preserving the habitat and environment for insects. It's just hugely, hugely important. And like, I love when I see people making like insect-friendly gardens. Like you'll see people that get like the little bee hotels, things like that. Like that's awesome. And like reducing the use of like insecticides, pesticides in your garden, that stuff makes a huge difference. And that's really wonderful that people are doing that. It's like we need that, but we also need people conserving our green spaces. In like the case of these wetlands, like wetlands and salt marshes are really, rare habitat types in Victoria, and they're really special, especially in Melbourne, in Metro Melbourne. So yeah, preserving this habitat type is especially important, not just for insects, but for everything in that, in that ecosystem. Yeah, because like some of these ant species we saw today, they can't live in the suburbs, or at least only with great difficulty. Like they need these trees, these grasses, all these sort of plants here, this soil type here, they need that. And they need that like specific spacing in the vegetation. Like, some of these ants need that real open sort of wetland part there where there's no trees. And other ones need just trees, thickets of trees. And some of them need that receding water level as well. So yeah.
So we need a diversity of different types of bushland to
Yes.
protect different types of insects as well.
Yes, that's right.
Oh, wow. This has absolutely illuminated me and also plays perfectly on this project.
Good. Yeah.
And it's something I could have missed out easily. You know, that's what's killing me too. It was going,
Oh,
I
yeah.
could have not had this represented, and I would have missed out a key part of the story, sort of thing.
Yeah. No, it's Hey. I think it's certainly not uncommon. I think when people are raising awareness around what the animals in our local ecosystems need, I think often insects might get overshadowed a bit, and it could be due to a bit of what you were talking about before, where people are sort of afraid of insects. They don't really understand them, or they don't really sort of relate to them because they're not all like cute and fuzzy and so I think people just don't understand insects as much. And I think beyond relating to insects, I think people don't realise the massive amount of ecosystem services that insects provide for us. All the things that they're doing for us to have an enjoyable environment to live in, and a safe environment to live in, and a healthy and just very beautiful and cool looking environment to live in. Like, a lot of that stuff is largely due to the work that insects do, due to the sort of niches that they occupy in our ecosystems.
What sort of ecosystem services do they provide?
So I think if I talk about ants specifically, so ants are ecosystem engineers. So they actually turn over soil, and as I mentioned before, because ants occupy, because it's so abundant, and when you look at 1 square metre of earth, the number of ants that are actively turning over that soil as we speak is like too many to count, So they're like all across these wetlands here, all these ants are actively turning over and aerating this soil. They're also harvesting seeds from various plants that have evolved for ants to harvest those seeds, so the ants can take those seeds into their little safe chambers underground where those seeds can germinate to create new seedlings. So they're helping to propagate new species, helping to turn over soil. They're also influencing the population balances of various other groups, because being a common predator of other insects, they're keeping other insect groups in check. So like, if people don't like having cockroaches in their house or in their garden, well, you know what predates on cockroaches? Ants. So ants are sort of providing that role of keeping other insect groups and populations in balance. Oh, and there's numerous other things. There's the ants also occupy the role of helping. Where they're the pollinators, that's the word, yeah. Ants also act as pollinators for many of our species. And I think something that not a lot of people know is that bees aren't actually the main pollinator group in Australia. Even in Victoria or Melbourne, it's not bees. It's actually flies. So there's many different groups of flies that act as pollinators. And then ants aren't too far behind. So ants have a really big role to play in pollination as well.
I guess there's a big push around Greater Melbourne to have more cultural burns, and we've seen some great success from having cultural burns. What relationships do burns have with ants?
Yeah, so that's just a really interesting topic, and there's so many, there are people doing incredible research already on that space of the interaction between ants and fire. I think some of the general conclusions that I can also share is that the vast majority of ants in the ant communities in Australia are well adapted to fire, particularly when they're the subterranean species, or like the ones that can, hide underground. So like when a cool burn goes through, like the type of burn that traditional owners often do, that won't like impact an ant colony underground if it's the right type of burn. It's cool and it just goes through, and those ants are safe underground. That said, if you did like a burn in a forest or a rainforest where those ants aren't used to fire, that could certainly damage, or kill that whole group, especially if it's like a species of ants that might live in a tree or something like that rather than underground. So I guess, the general statement there is ants have evolved with fire in Australia. So they're used to it, and some of them even need that because after fire you're going to get those vegetation changes that bring in different resources that ants require for their colonies as well, whether that's seeds, or just different food sources and stuff. So that's the general statements I can sort of make, but there are people who are doing research looking at interactions beyond that, like sort of looking at relationships between frequency and intensity of fire and different ant communities and different vegetation types. So it's really, really cool what some people are doing out there.
And if someone's listening to this and you've converted them, they're like, I just want to get into this now, I want to be like you, I want to know all this stuff, where do they go? Like what's stage one? Are there guides? Are there things to listen to? Are there different ways that you can learn?
If you want to learn more about insects or even about ants, I actually think that there's two websites I'd recommend. So YouTube, there's a thriving, insect admirer community on YouTube, and people will document what it's like, finding cool insects or keeping insects as pets. And that's where I've learned a lot as well from the community there. And there's a really strong ant keeping community in Australia that post stuff on YouTube. So I think YouTube is a really good resource for finding stuff from other insect lovers. The second website that I'd recommend is Ant Wiki, which is like a version of Wikipedia that's just for ants. And there could be ones for other insect groups as well. I've never actually explored that, but I think those are some really good resources to get you started on learning more about ants and insects in general.
Is iNaturalist good for uploading ant pics too? Or?
Yes, iNaturalist is great, and myrmecologists love it when people are putting ant photos up on iNaturalist. So that's always a really fun resource to use as well, and to also look at as well, to refer to if you want to see if something you found might be something that other people have found in that area.
What about, I've been giving people a bit of space if they want to shout anyone out. Is there anyone who's been really big on your journey for the ant world or insect world?
Yes, there are a number of people that I'd have to shout out. So my love of insects is definitely something that was encouraged or supported by my mum, but then also my grandmother, who I call my maningau. They're both incredible, amazing ecologists and women that just have taught me so much about nature. So I always credit my love for nature to them. That's something that I thought would be a really cool idea for a book, is going around talking to mobs around Australia and gathering cool stories about insects. Mob stories about insects around Australia, because I think there's many stories that probably exist, but as I said before, people have less of a connection with insects in terms of the general Australian population, so it's probably less emphasis on those stories than other stories, but I think that'd be cool.
Can you please write that book? I'm leaving this in as a challenge for you to do it, because Anyone who's listening is going to be going, oh God, I hope she does that.
Cool, yep. No, challenge accepted. And I'll give you another piece of knowledge.
Yeah.
Something you might find really cool. The Tiwi word for ants is Wallawallanga. Or for plural, we say Wallawallangui for multiple ants. But Wallawallanga, do you want to try say it?
Oh.
Go,
Yep.
Wallawallanga.
Wallawallanga.
Yeah,
Close.
you got it. That's it.
I'll never look at ants the same after this episode, and I hope that you find a whole new world yourself. Please, if you're interested in finding more episodes, check out findingmelbournesnature.com, follow us on social media, or listen to us on your favourite streaming platform. I'm always interested in your reviews and feedback, so please put it out there and I'd love to hear what you think. Thanks so much.